Welcome to Film Study, an all American podcast with Lexi. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all of the things. And you know what? We're almost done with this break into season 4, which is exciting. We will be discussing teenage love.
Yes.
Teenage love. So let's talk about it, Carmen. You already know that I'm so excited.
Yes, this is
Because
Lexi's
this is
favorite.
my favorite episode. Honestly, I'm not even gonna hold you. It might be my favorite episode of all time.
Of all episodes?
Of all American episodes.
Okay.
I don't know that for sure because, there's some other episodes in season 1 that still have my heart. Like the legacy episode and all that, but I just this episode has a hold on me.
Well, we all know. Never mind. This is my bad. 7 haven't happened yet, so don't worry about it. Go ahead. But if I could imagine 7, probably would be mine. So go ahead.
7 of all time, that would be your favorite episode of all time.
Yes. But I'm trying to pretend like 7 isn't happened yet. So
That's funny. So, getting off, let's talk about this. We're gonna get into your overall thoughts on the episode in general, and then I'll give mine. But thinking back to when this first aired, we were all just like, "What in the world happened in Vegas and
Vegas.
/ over the summer?" Because they were using Vegas and summer interchangeably, and we were like, "What is going on? We just want to know."
Yes.
We just want to
Yes.
know. And we knew this episode was going to be some mess because there ain't no way they had all them teenagers there and they weren't going to be on no mess. And they were on some mess.
Definitely. Definitely was some drama this episode. Yes, the tea was spilled.
The tea was spilled. Okay, so I'm gonna wait. I want to get your thoughts, but I'm gonna say again why it's my favorite episode.
Okay, look, my thoughts on the episode, the whole
Yeah,
episode. Okay. I loved the episode. I felt like it was like we got all of the teenagers this episode. Like, it was no adults, it was no football, it was no, it was just them in the wilderness, in the wild. Um,
in the weird. I'm dead. Yeah,
it was just them, hanging and enjoying each self for how long it
yeah,
lasted.
yeah, yeah. So let me explain my point about why this is my favorite episode. Number one, I think that, up until this point, everybody had been split apart.
Mm-hmm.
So, we saw Beverly and then we saw Crenshaw. And, like, obviously Spencer's at Crenshaw now, so he hasn't really interacted much with the Beverly crew. And
Mm-hmm.
we know that he and Jordan had their little thing that just got resolved. Like, we haven't seen him with Asher. We haven't seen him with JJ to a lesser extent. And so we just haven't seen them all together. And it's just been pretty odd. It's been pretty awkward. And so I feel like this was the first time where I felt like the friendships that we're used to, we
Uh-huh.
saw that. You know what I mean? And we
Yeah.
saw like the relationships that we've built, like they've built over the past 2 seasons, that we hadn't seen in the first couple of episodes. Plus, on top of all that, it was just regular, like the episode is entitled "Teenage Love." It was just regular old teenage drama
Teenage.
without
Mm-hmm.
anybody like getting shot,
Exactly. Exactly.
aka Spencer from last season,
Don't
or
do
without
him.
it,
Don't do him.
or I'm saying Spencer from last season, and our homegirl Olivia. Hopefully, she stopped. She put down that bottle for good, but Jordan interrupted her, throwing away the alcohol out of her bottle, and so it was just nice to get like a semi normal sort of episode that was still sort of drama packed, but was just about the relationships.
Yeah,
And so,
definitely.
with that being said, also let me continue on why this is my favorite episode first.
Go
The
ahead.
cinematography on point. The song choice on point. There has been no greater intro of All American than that song, which like doesn't exist. I've searched for it all the time. I will go back and watch that opening scene on YouTube just to hear the song.
It's not a real song?
It is a real song, but it's like not it's not available. It's just like it was the show purchased it, I think, to play it. And I feel like it's just one of those songs where it's just like if you're, if you have a TV show, you could buy it, it'll play, but it's not like available for consumption of the average
Gotcha.
person.
Gotcha.
Which is disappointing. Again, the music this episode, like the music, all episodes are really good, but like specifically this episode, just with the scenery and everything, and that drive up is just magnificent. Now, before we get to that drive up in the intercut, because we know sort of where Spencer and Coop left off, um, we're gonna flip to the uh the B and the C storylines real quick. Um, Billy and Laura.
Mm-hmm.
Billy and Laura. They've been in an interesting spot like lately. They've been co-parenting and all of that. And I I think we were all wondering at that point, like, are they going to get back together? It seems like they're past things. Or are they going to still stay separated? Like, they're not divorced yet.
Definitely. It definitely seemed like they're heading back together. It definitely
It
feels
did.
that
And
way.
I'm so confused because it. Am I imagining this, or did Laura at one point ask for a divorce?
I believe she did. I believe
I think she
she
did.
she
Like, and
did.
I'm just now like after I've seen this episode probably a billion times, and
Mm-hmm.
we have now finished the whole entire season, and I'm like, she definitely asked for a divorce. Did he just not give it to her?
I don't know. I
What?
don't know if he just ain't signed the papers. Maybe it was one of them things she just did, but then I don't think she was 100% sure that she really wanted it. Because I'm with
Yeah,
you. What happened to them papers? What happened to
I'm
the
very
process?
confused. I'm very, very confused about that now. But that's neither here nor there because what ended up happening, he came to fix a broken garbage disposal.
Fix it?
Um,
Okay. What
I
you
know.
want?
Attempts to fix he
Go
ended
ahead.
up fixing it though. He ended up fixing it. But there were some funny moments along the way. Obviously, he had tried to install a AC or something early on in their marriage and it wasn't working. Number one, I think he smashed the AC unit on the pavement or something. There were a couple of things where I was just like, "What in the world is their relationship?" Laura was calling Billy B.
Has she done that before? I don't remember her ever calling
She
him B.
never done that before, and I'm like, "Why are you guys acting brand new?" Hey B, hey B, thank you. I just,
Yeah.
ugh, it
I,
bothers me to this
yeah.
day.
I was like, B? B?
Because she's never called him that
Was
ever. Like, not even early on season one when they were, all lovey dovey, whatever.
maybe we missed it, hopefully. I
No,
don't know.
she didn't tell him that.
She said no, no, I'm trying to help. He's like, no,
You are. And I'm
absolutely
like,
not.
no, I've seen this episode enough times. I've been annoyed by that nickname enough
Oh
times.
my gosh. I don't know. I
But
don't know.
anyway, she's calling him B. He's like staring at her dresses that are on the couch with angst and disgust. Like, is she going out on the date? All that
Mm-hmm.
to say, both of them are not currently dating anyone. They both made that clear. Um, yeah, they both made that clear, and that's where they left off is toasting the fixing of the garbage disposal, and
Yeah, going down memory lane. I guess it was just like for them to just remember the good times. I guess that was the purpose of this their scenes was to
yeah,
remember.
I think so. I think
Uh,
the purpose was to bring them closer together because they've been in this weird spot, and it looks like they would like to be together again. So it's looking like that's gonna continue on,
yeah.
grow closer. So With all that being said, the second storyline that was sort of a side storyline was the whole Patience and Lil Jewel situation.
Yeah,
Uh, Obviously, we know that that was, the secret that was Patience's summer secret was that Lil Jewel sort of stole her song, but Lil Jewel was just like, "Listen, I would never do another female dirty like that."
yeah. I guess we had to know that she was not okay with what happened to
Yeah,
Patience.
what JP did to Patience. But
Yes,
here's the thing, and I'm gonna say this for all of the audience to hear. I hate when people call women females sort of just unironically. You know what I mean? Like it's
what
not
you
like
mean?
if it's not on a paper that says like are you like male or female, non-binary, etc.
Uh huh.
If it's not that type of thing, I feel like female becomes a derogatory term. You know what I mean? Like men call women females, and it's sort of derogatory. And so I just
Yeah, it
it's
depends on how it's
it's
used. I can see what you mean.
it's just a personal pet peeve of mine. And so I feel like this episode is becoming it's my favorite, but here are all the lines that annoy me.
Yeah, I understand what you said because it does. Like a lot of times when I have heard this term female, it'd be like like y'all females, type
Exactly.
of
It's like in a so I
yeah.
just don't understand why Lil Joel would say that. Like, I would never do another female there. Like, okay, okay, bye. But anyway, it looks like Patience had a little pack bag with Coop when she was comforting Coop at the end of the episode. So it looks like Patience will go on tour with Lil Joel, which we know is actually that Chelsea Tappers, which is who plays
It's,
Patience in the
it's
show, was
pertinent.
pregnant at the
Mm-hmm.
time, and so she had to go on maternity leave. Um, so, which I have to say is a bummer, and I think I can say this because it's not revealing anything. Patience doesn't return for a good couple episodes, and it Patience is one of my favorite characters. So to see her get bumped up to a regular because she
Mm-hmm.
was just a recurring character, I'm so happy that she had a baby and her baby's healthy and that it was a good process for her. I would have liked to see Patience what they would have done with Patience had she not been on maternity leave at this time.
Oh, how should have been added more to the storyline.
Yeah, yeah, like what her storyline would have been like. Did they have plans to really go forward with this whole Layla, being a music producer, and she had just gotten out of her contract, and so would that have like been? Would we seen Layla working more with Patience with her label and adding on other clients and stuff? Um,
If they
but
would have,
it's
I think I would have been shocked, being that they never really do a lot with patients outside of Coop, anyways. Like they
And that's
don't
what I
really do
mean
a
is that
lot.
like we missed because this is the first season that she's been a regular, so she would have gotten her own storyline. But
Would
since
she?
Chelsea, I think so. I think so
Mm,
because I feel like Chris isn't necessarily a regular, and he's had several I think of his own storylines.
not really. Yeah, but they all been tied to like football. Like he got injured. Like they all still. He never had like his own thing going on. Like other than
That's
we.
fair.
So
That's fair.
yeah.
And speaking of that, I would have liked to see. Speaking of that, I would have liked to see Spencer at the cat. Sorry, that's Spence Moore is his name in real life. I would have liked to seen Chris at the cabin, to
Mhm.
help Spencer. Um, yeah, so just small things on the aside. And here we go with the big one.
What's the big one?
Talking about we would have liked to seen Chris at the cabin, or at least me. You know who wasn't at the cabin?
Who?
Anybody from Crenshaw, including Coop.
Well, she came eventually, but to be
But did you
fair,
like that transition?
no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But
That was a grade A
no,
transition.
Coop presence this episode irked me.
But the transition was nice setting aside Coop. Setting them aside, I feel like that was a smooth transition. But we're gonna get to why she was there at the end and not the beginning. We left
But
off.
with your statement about none of Crenshaw, to be fair, none of them was supposed to be there. It was supposed to be Spencer just getting away.
Yeah, yeah, that's absolutely true. Because we left off with Spencer telling Coop how he feels that she is his stuck point, that he has come to make that realization that she is his
Mm-hmm.
stuck point, and you know he we were talking about this earlier before we started recording, but again he had sort of been sitting on it for a while, so I think that it came out maybe in a way that he didn't intend,
You mean
because it came.
with kind of aggressive?
Yeah, yeah. As I rewatched those episodes, I was just like, and I think I thought this at the time too. I was just like, wow. I was happy as a viewer because I too blame Coop, but
Yes, we did.
again, like as I was watching, I was just like, he really sat on that. And by the time that he tells her, it's almost kind of like in a way that he was forced to tell her that. Um,
I think maybe it had to do with it's even though he wrote it, he had never voiced it. So even though the shooting was months ago, because this is his first time actually acknowledging it and voicing it, it came out in a way that it probably would have came out had he accepted that he blamed her, or if he realized that he blamed her when it first happened.
right, right, right. And so he went to the cabin to escape after that all happened.
Hmm.
Like I said, that beautiful shot of him driving up with the intercut with the flashbacks to the cabin with Coop visiting Grace, and just
Hmm.
that whole start. Coop was very, I think, more down than we've seen her. Like she's been down and sort of confused, but she seemed really really just sort of shocked, like in a daze almost. I think when she talked to Grace, and Grace said this, which I made note of. She was just like, the truth is, both of y'all have made some serious
Mistakes.
mistakes.
Yep.
I
Which
was
was the
like, you better
truth.
go with it, Grace.
Which was the truth. It was the
It
truth.
was the truth. And she's like, but basically that they're loyal, and that they look out for each other, and that those values will bring them back together. And they had that example where Coop was playing football and Spencer was gonna, basically made the coach keep Coop on the team, etc., etc. But Coop again was really sort of in a daze, and she was just like, "I think this time is different. I don't know how we're gonna come back from this." And I think that's significant because Coop's saying she doesn't know
But
how they're gonna come back from this.
the example Grace used, was it just me that was like, dang, okay, Coop, you've been confused. It's just me? Because it's like, she's like, oh, I realized that football was his thing. Oh, so you let him go the extra mile, and then you like you send him up,
See,
like,
it's funny that you say that. I didn't take it that way. That does make sense. I didn't take it. I think I thought of it more as she didn't know that he went to the coach until like after he went to the coach, and then
mm,
she quit.
I didn't take it that way. I took it. She know he made the extra mile. Okay, he found her and told her she can play. He convinced the coach. She said okay, and then she didn't show up.
Listen, you're probably right. You're probably right. Yeah, I think Grace at the end of the day, obviously, she was like, "Oh, I don't blame you," but
But no, what she
okay,
said was
Grace.
right. They both was at
No,
fault.
I understand, but I'm saying
Yeah,
Grace is always gonna be in her son's corner.
of course.
And so to your point, the example was on purpose. Uh, anyway, so all of that happened. The crew shows up for Spencer
Ah,
after Layla and Olivia talk.
Uh huh.
And, you know, Layla is saying, like, oh, not gonna be in the studio because, like, Spencer and Coop are in a fight, and I don't want that to get weird between me and Coop, which is why, friendship and business is
It's sticky.
always
Mm-hmm.
interesting. It
Yep.
is, it's sticky. I'm not gonna say it's
Mm-hmm.
horrible. I'm not gonna say it's bad. It's just, be prepared to deal with some situations.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so she was just like, I don't want it to get weird. So I'm gonna chill with you, Olivia. And Olivia was just like, well, Asher, it looks like she's finally willing to sit and talk to Asher. She was just like, Asher has a whole weekend for us planned, right down to the second. And Layla's just like, oh yeah, yeah, that's cool. And Olivia is the one who goes, so wait, what about Spencer?
Mm-hmm.
And Layla tells Olivia, oh, he's going to the cabin, offered to go with him, but eh,
So
he
you
wanted to be
think?
alone.
Wait, hold on. So you think that Olivia was, 100% on board with this weekend that Asher had
Absolutely
planned?
not.
Oh, cause
Absolutely not.
I was gonna say, cause I think
But you know
she's.
what? I'm going to qualify that. I don't think that she was 100% on board mentally. It's like when you can be there, but you're not really there. Like you're physically there, but you're not necessarily fully present.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that she would have showed up
Of
and she would
course,
have been there. But was she going to be there 100% mentally? No.
I think as long as he didn't want to talk about the summer, because at this point she still hasn't really talked to him about the summer.
Oh,
So.
yeah. Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. But I do think that
Mhm.
and actually, again, something that I've noticed upon the rewatch is she really was ready to move forward as a couple with Asher. I think at this point. I think, in my opinion.
Mm.
Um I mean, hey, like I said, upon my rewatch, that's what I've noticed because, again, so Olivia sort of organizes this. The crew shows up. Obviously,
Uh-huh.
Layla and Spencer have that conversation about, Liv's idea. And Asher and Liv talk about their weekend going sort of differently than they anticipated. And
Yes.
that is what signaled to me that she was sort of ready to work on the relationship because she went up to him and she was just like, I'm sorry, that this has derailed this plan, because she knows how much effort he would like put into everything. And so I think she was aware of that, and I think she was ready. And so her being proactive to go and find Asher later on in the episode, obviously they have a fight about it, but like she goes to find Asher again. So I think that she was ready to sort of just like move past everything. Again, moving past summer included, but like ready to take the next steps forward in their relationship.
No, yeah, we see things differently there. I don't see that she was. I feel like she was still existing in a relationship, but it was like what he's gonna say later. Like they just didn't connect. It was not. It wasn't there anymore. So it was like just going through the motions with them.
Oh, I completely agree. I don't think she was there mentally, but I think that she
Mm-mm.
was, trying her best,
Yes,
giving I
trying.
trying her best, giving minimal effort. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yep,
it's
yep,
just
yes, it
like,
does. Yep.
yeah, like you said, going through the motions. She was absolutely
Hmm.
going through the motions, but in that going through the motions, she wanted to get back to some sort of like normalcy between the two. It wasn't like episode 3 when she was just like, "Oh, let's watch this movie. Oh, let's not." You know what I mean? She was much more sort of a willing
It was a minimal.
participant.
It was a minimum of that. That's like, even though I know going to the cabin was definitely, Spencer in mind, but I felt like it was also to avoid my. That was my thoughts on it. It's also to avoid her and Asher.
Mm, that's a good point. I don't think she was looking forward to the weekend at all. But I do think that she was looking forward to ways to like talk without talking about the summer.
Mm,
Because I think that she picked up on the fact, like, if I don't start acting like myself soon, people are
Mhm.
going to start to question things because, as we know, her mom and her dad were like questioning her behavior, and so to keep
Mhm.
people off that path, she's like,
She
gotta
yeah, she
start
want to get
being
back
like
to normal. Get back to normal. Mhm.
completely opposite of why she was there for Spencer, because you know, say what you want, but we like anybody can tell that Olivia has for a very long time, been there for Spencer
Yes.
and wanted Spencer really, and so you and that they're there for each other and that they can read each other. That has always been there. Obviously, there's
Mhm.
this romantic thing between them now that everybody's trying to know, but she's gonna be there for Spencer. Period. And so that was her actually giving 100% and
Mhm.
100% to one of the relationships in her life.
You know what, Joe? Now that you say that, that is probably where Asher comment when he's going to say, "Why do you always have to be the one be there for Spencer?" It probably was more of him observing like she wasn't giving their relationship the same energy she was giving being there for Spencer.
Yes. Yeah. And listen, I have noticed so much more than what I did watching it because I was so zeroed in on, are we going to have this talk between Spencer and Olivia or what? Like, what's
Right.
happening with them two? But, looking at it with fresh eyes, it's very interesting. But one thing that I do want to bring up is I looked at my old tweets when I first watched this episode. And I was just like, first off, they have Layla and Olivia together hanging out. We haven't seen them really like hanging out in a while to
Mhm.
start out the episode. I was just like, they know that they're wrong for this because we saw the previews and we knew that there was going to be some mess. So
Mhm.
it's just like, this is sort of an ominous, awkward feeling because we know that after this episode, things are probably not going to be cool between them. And not only did they have that, they also had, you know, the walk, and I was just like, we're not even 10 minutes into the episode. Olivia is making jokes at Layla's expense. Like, it was funny.
That was funny. That was
It was
funny.
funny, but at the same time, it's just like, how y'all doing, my girl, live like this? Like, you literally kicking Layla when she's about to be down. Like,
But her advice though, when she was giving it to Simone during the walk, was totally funny. Like, what did she
oh
say?
yeah,
To be top
Vindi.
seed.
Ips.
Oh goodness, that was funny. Like you, like girl, you went too deep. Just say
Vindi Vici Vici.
yes.
No. Um, but yeah, she.
It was a cute moment though between the girls. It
It was,
was
listen,
very
I love that's an okay. Another reason why this is one of my favorite episodes is because this is the first time we've seen Layla, Olivia, and Simone hanging out and just being chill together. We like barely
yeah,
get to see all of the women in this show,
hanging out.
all in one
Mhm.
place hanging, and it's not about business or anything like that. And so it was good just to see them just chilling and talking, like we get to see the guys do all the time.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, it was funny. And so that Layla gave Simone some advice because, we're starting to get introduced more and more to Simone as we know that she has her spin-off show coming
Mhm.
out. And so we're starting to get more of her backstory about tennis, etc., etc. And, Jordan didn't know all of that. And that was the whole thing. And she's trying to figure out college applications.
Yes.
Um, and so that whole conversation took place after we acknowledge the elephant in the room, which is Vanessa is on this trip. Who invited her?
Oh, unfortunately,
Because
she
I know
is.
I sure as heck know that Olivia did not invite that girl.
You know what's my issue with Vanessa? Vanessa, I don't. It's not even just like she just, but like I really don't like how it's clear she's. To me, it's clear she's not into JJ like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But she's allowing the invite because I'm guessing that's who invited her. on this trip, like just to be in the mix. She's using him to be in the mix, and I don't like that.
Oh, for sure, for sure. She was absolutely doing it. It was just like, I'm sorry, it was pick me behavior when JJ was trying to make his little fettuccine, and you know, she was just like, Asher was like, "Oh, I can make some burgers and hot dogs," and she was like, "Yeah, that's what I want, some burgers and hot dogs."
Is that your Vanessa voice?
It's my
Oh
Vanessa.
goodness. Oh goodness.
The Asher that I met over summer was
Oh,
cool, confident,
listen.
funny guy.
Oh my gosh. If she
She
says
finds a
this,
way to work that into every single
every
conversation.
every single, like
She even had
clearly
her mom. Anyway, let's not get into it. But
the Asher for the summer, the Asher for the
it's
summer.
the Asher I met over summer.
Yes.
And so I feel like we're jumping around, which is fine. But yeah, so Vanessa was there doing the most, and Simone, Layla, and Olivia had a conversation about it, and then they gave Simone some advice for college. That leads us into sort of a water gun fight and JJ's porta party, which I would love to have a porta party. Number one,
Wait, the water guns.
yeah, but not even the water guns, but it was just like
You know,
everything that was in that little trunk that he had
but
was
why did they
really looked really
write
cool.
it where they act like these water guns was so grand? Like he was like, "Oh, that one is illegal." I'm looking like, "What?"
That one was illegal.
Like as
It's
a
illegal.
kid, I owned a Super Soaker and it looked way better. Like, what do you mean that was illegal? It was
It
nothing
was illegal
special.
in 48 states,
It,
including Puerto Rico.
what was so special about it? What made it illegal? What did it do?
I don't know. It looked like some normal water guns, but
Exactly. The
okay.
writers the writers reached with that one. Like, what? Okay.
And as they're having this water gun fight, which it was good again, it was just good to see them playing around, laughing, having a good time.
Mhm.
With everybody, everybody was in on it except for Spencer, who had earlier found some birthday letters from his dad.
Mhm.
Um, and again, like that, the whole reason he was there was to pack up the cabin, and the whole reason Olivia had this idea to go see him and bring everybody here was because this is the first time that he's back since his dad has left.
Yes.
Um, and so it's this whole like bittersweet episode the entire time because it's against this backdrop that the last time he was at this place, he literally watched his father die, which is just it was so sad, but it was, yeah, again, just a very bittersweet episode. And so he's, holding the letters. Layla goes to check on him, trying to get him to come out to the party,
Uh-huh.
and you know he's talking to her about these letters, and she basically tells him, gives him the advice that he doesn't have to make a decision on whether or not he wants to read these letters at this time.
Yes.
Because at first he's just like, "Oh, do you think I should not read the letters?" And she's like, "No, that's not what I'm not saying it." She was talking about her mom and digging up things from her mom's past, and just saying like, I think that you should just you don't have to make the decision right now. You're here to pack up. Pack up. We're here to make you have a good time. So have a good
Mhm.
time, and we can you can think about that later.
Yeah.
At this time, watching the show, I was just like, I know Liv is about to come up here a couple scenes later.
But
I literally have a tweet. I'm like, I know Liv is about to tell him to read these letters.
But the thing is, like, I remember a lot of people was like, "Oh, Layla gave him bad advice." She didn't give him bad advice.
She did not give him bad
She
advice.
didn't.
Yeah.
She gave him advice for that moment. It was like
Yeah.
she gave him advice for that moment. When Liv gave him advice, he had already read a letter, so it was like
Right.
it was she didn't give bad advice.
I don't think she gave bad advice either. I think that she gave advice based upon her own experience. I mean, like
Yes.
that's all that you can do. Um
Mhm.
and you know, he decided not to take her advice,
Yes.
and and read them basically, or he took her advice for the first couple seconds, and then just sort of was just like, okay, now I'm gonna read them because he's Spencer and he's like,
Yeah, I mean,
I want to do what I yeah. He's like, I want to read
yeah,
these letters.
he's curious to want to know what's in the letter.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
exactly. And so he reads the letter. This is something that I think is interesting. It's the little things that I noticed about Spencer and Layla's relationship at this time. This is a really small thing, by the way. Did you notice that when they were holding hands, that their fingers weren't interlocked?
No, when was they holding hands?
When she goes to take him out of the cabin after he finds the letters, and the water gun fight, like when she leads him back out of the cabin,
No, I paid it. No,
it's definitely just like the over the handhold,
I
which
didn't pay it
I
any
like personally
mind.
don't have any thoughts on it, but I know that people feel very strongly about whether it's the over the hand versus
Yeah, I didn't pay it no
fingers.
mind. Yeah, I didn't pay it any mind.
These are just small things that I'm just like interesting, like the little it
Little
like the Miranda
clues.
Cosgrove meme.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, so that happens. um Spencer reads the letter. uh he was not pleased with the letter because his dad was very angry. Like,
Yes.
why was Corey writing to this little like 9, 10-year-old Spencer, talk about
Right?
some don't ever trust your
He was
friends?
angry. He was angry. He was
I'm
angry.
angry. I'm
He's
angry.
angry.
And where do you think Spencer gets it?
Clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly, yes. Clearly he was angry.
Yeah.
But yes, Corey was very angry. And I guess he was just writing. I'm just glad he didn't mail it,
Yeah.
like to a
Yeah.
9-year-old
Oh,
Spencer.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Grace would have found him and had his head had he sent that to a 9-year-old Spencer.
Right. And as he finishes this first letter, he's like sitting down. Um, Liv is walking up behind him as he's like throwing these like this box or like canister of letters onto the ground, and she's just like, "Oh, mm, show those
Yeah.
letters who's boss." Uh, and they just have this really just sweet. Every time I see this moment, I'm just like, "You guys are perfect for each other."
Right? She was like, we could talk wait, you guys what she
We
said, we
could
could
talk
talk
about
about
it,
it or
not
not
talk
talk
about
about
it,
it, whatever you
whatever you
need.
need. Did you notice that Billy has also said that to Spencer like earlier on? I'm like, Olivia is Billy's child in that regard, because he said the exact same thing to Spencer last season. Um,
Really? Oh
mhm,
yes, after he went to go try to see his dad, right?
right.
Gotcha.
Um, and so, yeah, the reason why Olivia's advice was so timely after he had already read that first letter is because it's like it's almost like you've already opened like Pandora's box,
Mm-hmm.
and you're only getting like this little small like clip or view you know of what those letters have to offer.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you've already opened this box, man. Like, why not see the dad who you came to know,
Yeah.
and the person who had moved past all of that anger that he had at one point in time.
Yeah. Her advice was like definitely dope because it was like she was able to like, get him to, you know, understand his dad and also understand he clearly wasn't that same person. Um, so keep reading, you know?
And as I'm thinking about it too, I think, and I feel like I've said this before, and maybe it's just like in different conversations, but Spencer sometimes works in extremes. And so when it was, before he met dad of season 2, you know, yeah, I hate this man. I'm angry at this man because he left us.
Mhm.
And then with season 2, obviously it took a bit to get him get him to come around, and for his dad to actually make the effort so he could come around, because you left your kids, like, that's not okay, dude. And so it
Mhm.
took his dad like really putting in that effort to show him that, no, I was wrong, and I want to have a relationship with you, not for what you do on the field, but just because I love you as my son.
Mhm.
And so with that, he had this, especially because he died so suddenly after all of that happened, I feel like he almost had him on this pedestal. And so him having his dad on this pedestal was almost just like, I don't want to have any bad information about my dad anymore. You know
Definitely.
what I
Yeah,
mean?
because he had to
And
move
so,
past all the anger. Like he didn't
right,
want to
he
go
had to
back
move.
to being angry with his dad.
Exactly.
And can you
So,
imagine him now getting angry, reading something, getting angry, and he can't ask his dad any questions? So it's like,
exactly.
yeah, which is kind of what Layla was trying to tell him. You might want to leave that alone. You know.
Right. Right. Well, and the interesting thing is like, again, now that I'm thinking about it, the point of these letters, and I feel like throughout the season, I don't think this is giving anything away, is to help Spencer develop a balance, like a balance with people. You know what I mean? Like, they're not all good, they're not all bad. People are
Mhm.
complex,
Yes,
and I
including
think
him.
that's including him,
Mhm.
including him, because I
Mhm.
think that he was also shocked by his feelings towards Coop. Because I don't think he
Mhm.
ever thought he would be the type of person that got mad at, you know what I mean? Like, that really got
Uh
mad at
huh.
Coop. And
Yep.
so, and I think, for a couple other people who are, anyway, but I just think this is a theme that's gonna keep coming back up. We spent a lot of time on that, which is good because it's a good topic. But
Mhm.
yeah, so they do that, and obviously Asher and Layla notice something. But again, something that new that I noticed is, sorry to cut y'all off at the tip there, but I promise that the next episode is coming soon, or the next part, I should say. The next part of Teenage Lover Review is coming soon. Just needed to cut it into 2 parts because it's my favorite episode, and we talked about a lot, we covered a lot. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this one, and stay tuned.